Like I was telling you before, Carl, OpenAI is got a product and a solution that basically can do anything. And so if it can do anything, it can start to replace what anybody else has out there from a technology standpoint. If you look at what Microsoft just announced, Microsoft is worried about OpenAI getting into productivity. OpenAI has a tool called Canvas that allows you to edit documents. And so they're kind of becoming a word processor. If you work with text, you can enhance it, you can rewrite it, you can ask AI to improve it, you can change the tone, the style. You don't need to leave ChatGPT to use it as a word processor. You could use it as a word processor on your own. You could use it as an analytic tool. So you really need spreadsheet. You can use it to create slide presentations. Now it has different skills and different abilities across those. But if you ask it to go out and book a reservation for you, what you might normally do is go to a web browser and click on a few things, and a reservation might get made, or you go to buy something online. But ChatGPT is saying, why bother going to any of those? You can come to us and we'll take care of it. They've actually built a computer inside of ChatGPT, which can act as a web browser function when you're browsing the web, or save files. It can export files. It can save things for you. It can create files in PDF or Word or other formats for you. So if you look at what people are doing, and I heard a number that ChatGPT, since it was announced, now has 700 million active users all over the world, which has made it the fastest growing application in the history of computing. So it creates a problem for everybody else. I mean, it creates a problem for Google, because if you go to ChatGPT to ask questions, Google is saying, well, wait a second, people used to go to Google to ask questions, and we give them search results, and we'd be able to make money by displaying ads depending on what they were looking for. If you say, well, I don't need, I'm going to create documents with ChatGPT, it creates a problem for Microsoft. And Microsoft just announced they're going to be working with Anthropic. They've been developing their own AI independent of OpenAI, but Microsoft is working with Anthropic because Anthropic has some nice tools that apparently give it more ability than OpenAI, specifically with Excel and PowerPoint. The thing that keeps people attached to Microsoft is Office technology. PowerPoint, Excel, and Word are used almost universally as defaults for Office technology. Of course, Google makes productivity tools, and they got to worry about ChatGPT, or maybe they start switching people over to Gemini. And of course, Gemini is integrated into Google Workspace probably better than any other set of productivity tools, because you can get your Google Docs, you can access your Gmail, you can access Google Sheets, you can access everything. And so Microsoft is worried that Google is taking advantage. And so they've got to make sure they keep up with everything. And of course, you mentioned the purchase of Johnny Ives' company by OpenAI. They want to get into devices. And who's the big device company? Well, it's Apple. Apple controls a lot of what people do with technology because they have the iPhone and they have the iPad, and they have the Mac. But if you go to ChatGPT, instead of using an Apple app or an Apple tool, or they get your talking to an AI that'll do things with you, Apple's going to fall behind. And of course, all the AIs have the ability to create software code. And what do we use computers for? We use them for software. And so if you have the ability to create an app whenever you need an app to do something, why do you need to use anybody else's app in the first place? Just use the master app that has the ability to create apps. It's having like a master key to a building with 1,000 rooms. AI becomes your technology, and you don't need an operating system. You don't need a application. You don't need other things, because AI will do it for you, and AI will eventually be able to book meetings for you, set up reminders for you. And so all these technology companies are racing to try and keep up with each other and try and invest in ways to get ahead of somebody else and trying to do it. And they don't know where everything is going, but they're all fighting for their lives in terms of trying to keep up with an AI tool like ChatGPT And ChatGPT was early. I think Gemini is probably as good as ChatGPT these days. I saw an ad from TikTok today that TikTok now has an app that allows you to create video ads within seconds. You explain your business, your marketing, your idea, what you want to do, and it'll generate video ads that they say have a lot of variety and they're unique and customized. And of course, Google's got its VO3 to generate YouTube content. They're integrating a lot of their video capability into YouTube for YouTube creators and YouTube advertisers so that they can get more content on YouTube. That, of course, we don't have enough, obviously, but YouTube's kind of the dominant channel these days of what people spend a lot of time up there. I ran into a blind person that goes to my gym in my retirement community, and he works with the Amazon AI tool that is voice activated and works with her to ask questions, ask what the weather is. He can set up appointments. He can set up reminders and other things like that. Everybody's going to have the ability to do things a different way. Meta's got a deal with Ray-Ban for glasses. They're introducing a set of glasses that will actually project image on the lenses for you while you're wearing them. They kind of had an early release last year, but they're going to have something they're actually saying they're going to bring to market. We carry around these phones in our pockets, but we may be starting to work with technology in a variety of different ways and a variety of different approaches. And of course, every country in the world is struggling to keep up. I mean, I was mentioning to Carl that if you're going to be a first world nation these days, you better have an AI capability within your country. NVIDIA is starting to sell chips to everybody. Data centers are being built all over the world. Countries are offering to build data centers to get AI capabilities based out of their country. And so we're seeing a real shift. This is like, I think to me, it's like the Industrial Revolution and the Information Revolution. It's changing work. It's changing how we communicate. People are getting some bad things. I listened to a podcast about, unfortunately, an adolescent that had committed suicide because his relationship with his AI became the closest friend he had. But AI is being trained as we learn more about how it works. It's going to be a therapist for people. It's going to be a career counselor. It's going to be a coach. It's going to give you advice on how to manage your investments. Already, investment advisors are saying that AI tools are better at investment advisors than investment advisors are. So we'll just basically have one interface. And of course, AI with the paid plans, in most cases, it remembers your conversations with it and it gets to know who you are and it gets to understand what you look for, what you want, and how you deal with it. It's more of a personal assistant. If you want it to be a friend, it'll be a friend. If you want it to be an advisor, it'll be an advisor. If you want it to basically do everything for you need to do, that's great. What we need basically is a tethered connection out to the internet for ourselves to be able to use AI. And eventually we'll have AIs in our pockets, just like nobody predicted we would have this on our wrist. You can't see my Apple Watch. There it is. Somebody predicted at one time we're never going to replace a chemical film from Kodak or Polaroid with digital film. And of course, those companies are out of business now. So these are all things that are happening that are really changing the world and jobs and agriculture and medicine and virtually everything we deal with these days, because even theoretical ideas can be run through so fast, and the AI is intelligent enough to replace a lot of things that we hadn't thought about before, and even we're just starting to figure out how to leverage it. So, Carl, that's my feedback on where we are today. You're going to build a relationship with your AI based on how you communicate with it and what you communicate, just like you could build a relationship with any human being. I was seeing a therapist after my wife had passed away, and the therapist towards the end of our sessions told me being a therapist is really a challenge because people only tell me 30% of what I need to know about their lives to help them. Right. And they keep 70% secret. I think some people are finding revealing more of themselves to an AI is often easier than revealing more of themselves to a person. And the AI gets to know them better than a person does in some cases. AI is now becoming no different than how you would interact with another human being in many cases. Microsoft is moving themselves to become more independent of OpenAI as well, because even though they're a partner, they see them as a threat, just like with Apple. But this is not anything new. Apple was the leader in mobile phone technology for years and years and years. And Google actually sat on the board of directors of Apple. And then all of a sudden, Google goes out and buys this thing called Android and decides to get into the mobile phone business themselves. So Apple had to kick Google off. And so there's always these give and takes among these companies in terms of where they're going and where they're going to head out. If you think of any type of technology that's been introduced or any type of capability that's been introduced, it's always created societal problems too. And we don't know where society is going to end up. And that's part of the challenge, is that this is creating a lot of unpredictability for people in jobs and occupations and lifestyle. I had a former student of mine send me an email today saying her niece had been laid off from a marketing and sales job with an online social media agency. She'd worked there for 4 years, and they just downsized some and laid people off, partly because things are going more AI, partly because it's becoming easier for companies to create in-house advertising and marketing with AI without having to hire people to do it for them. But she said what she wants to get into is the business of helping companies implement AI within their workforce. And how does she get trained and how to do that? She was asking me how to get that training and expertise. So just like the Industrial Revolution moved a lot of people off the farms into factories, and information moved a lot of people from factories into white-collar jobs. The AI revolution is going to move a lot of people from whatever they're in into something entirely different they might not have thought about. I know people that went to school and said, oh, I'm going to become a software programmer because that's the way of the future. That's a guaranteed job when you get out. And they're discovering when they get out that all the entry-level programming jobs have been replaced in many cases by AI. And so it's a real transition I think we're seeing in society. We don't know where it's going to go. I mean, did anybody think that, the steam engine was going to change society very much when there was a horse that could ride for 20 miles and a steam engine that could go for 3 or 4? I mean, so why would anybody buy this contraption that can go maybe 3 miles or even 100 yards? But guess what? Eventually it got better and better and better and better.